So my presentation covers two parts, and I guess the first one being mostly covered by Engineer Matias. So it covers a use case, what the mobile telecom industry views on Open RAN and its use cases, from which I would like to highlight three important use cases that are relevant, at least in my view, for the Philippine telecom market. The second part, I will share to you studies we have done made specific to really understanding, the use case for a mobile operator. And later on, eventually, I will share to you what I believe is the most suitable use case that I would personally pursue. So let's continue. Um, for a background, and I believe some key points were already touched by Engineer Matias, but I'd really like to give you a view of the thoughts of operators, especially in Europe. I think 2 years ago, European Open RAN Forum was held, and about over 100 participants actually participated in a survey. And one of the key critical questions they ask is, what would be the main driver to deploy an Open RAN? And here are the top four. And of course, the first and number one is really they are looking at Open RAN for cost reduction. Second, of course, is with cost reduction, vendor diversity, which is can derive cost reduction, network flexibility in terms of automation, in terms of software virtualization, and lastly, easy and seamless deployment because of such architecture. But let me dwell more really on the top one and why. And I think this may have been captured by Engineer Matias. Why cost reduction and what are the benefits of Open RAN? And the first thing is really, of course, a while ago, an ecosystem of vendors were presented. And with this ecosystem of vendors, you have the choice to choose. And that can be derived as a CapEx reduction. Another benefit of using Open RAN is the use of commercial off-the-shelf components, or what we usually call COTS servers. So that as well can lead to CapEx reduction. And the third, and I think one of the directions really is for RIC and for third-party application developers. So just a side thought, RIC, this is RAN intelligent controller, right? So it reminds me of the earlier architecture of 1G and 2G, where you have this type of controller, intelligent controller. And it is as if, the architecture has been evolving from, this type of architecture to, we've been seeing this in 1G, 2G with an intelligent controller. They remove the controller and move functions towards the RAN, the base station. They move functions towards the core, and now they're bringing it back. And I guess maybe because our COTS, our hardware are more powerful, and they're able to process especially heavy data. But during our time, when we're doing 2G, 1G, controllers were less powerful, but now they are more powerful in such a way that all of these functions can now be moved to the same controller as we speak today with the RIC. So how is it in terms of cost reduction, and how are they seeing it? So most operators, mobile network operators, would like to see it as a better RAN alternative in terms of economics. And there are several white papers and even benchmarks, as we have seen in terms of Rakuten now. In terms of white papers, in terms of simulations, what they see in terms of savings on network virtualization is they're looking at about CapEx savings about 30 to 50%, and that's derived mainly for the use or the choice of vendor equipment. In terms of OpEx, they're looking about 40 to 53% OpEx savings, and this is derived mainly from site rental, cooling, power cost reductions. overall, on TCO, there's about 37 to 44% TCO, CCO savings versus traditional. And one of the keynote that benchmark is Rakuten, which is, I believe, the first commercial Open RAN deployment, which Engineer Machas has mentioned. They have claimed achieved savings of 40% in OPEX and 30% in CAPEX. And in fact, I think 1 or 2 years ago, third-party analysts and industry consultants have really looked into the claims of Rakuten, and then they have indeed confirmed that, yeah, the achievements are there. Now, there are also benchmarks done with China Mobile and as well as, sorry, other operators. But, the real driver here is really to make RAN to be cost effective so that your business case is met. Now, I was fortunate enough I think right after the awarding of the third mobile operator in the Philippines, I was fortunate enough to work with global SIs driving Open RAN, and we did a design alternative for a traditional RAN using Open RAN end-to-end network from core to RAN. And we were able to offer a total of 45% reduction. That's CAPEX and OPEX. Unfortunately, of course, at that point, it was, I think, 2019. It's a bit too early and to really look into Open RAN, and at that time, Rakuten was just starting to deploy. But it was a very good exercise. I've seen how, Open RAN has been really a better RAN alternative to be able to support a business case such as that third mobile operator to be able to come in this very competitive mobile market. And that was a very fortunate experience for me. And I'm happy to say that given that exercise, it was indeed reassuring that, Open RAN can really deliver the virtualization technology applied to a mobile network can really provide that OPEX efficiencies and CAPEX. So, now, on the same survey, of course, while the other earlier presentation talked really about use case, but in terms and view of a mobile operator, what are their views in terms of choice of deployment use case? And what we are seeing here is that these operators view Open RAN would be suitable to both brownfield and greenfield. That's about over 70%. Then brownfield, greenfield, is about over 20%, and brownfield is about 6.3%. I'm not so sure if the terminology brownfield, greenfield is something the audience attendees know about. Well, just let me know. But in case, for purposes of this presentation, greenfield would mean it's a new operator or a new site to be deployed, wherein brownfield means it's an overlay, meaning Open RAN overlaid on an existing traditional RAN. All right. I think Engineer Machas discussed about an outline in terms of history of Open RAN. I'm not so sure, but telecom infra project was vital as well, as I believe, based on my knowledge and readings. They were really initiated this open systems. They were formed in 2016, early 2016, due to mobile network or operators were really disappointed with these closed, highly concentrated systems from vendors and the high cost of telecom infrastructure. So they formed this organization to look into innovation solutions, to have an open network, to be able to drive this telecom infrastructure costs down. And as early as 2017, there were already open trials. And guess which countries do you think, as seen in this slide, who would be the first to really look into Open RAN? I don't know if anyone from the audience can guess these two maps here. And it's really vital to really know the background here. I don't know if anyone can answer on the chat, but yes, on your left side is India, and your right side is Latin America. So you would wonder why these two countries, two regions. I don't know if anyone can comment on this, but if you want, you can chat. It's very, strategic. Why? If you look at India and Latin America, these are what we call low ARPU markets. Anyone can guess what you mean by ARPU? Anyone? So maybe for everyone's appreciation, ARPU is a terminology in the telecom industry. It means average revenue per user. So it's a benchmark on terms of we guys, in terms of how we spend our mobile wallet every month. So these markets mean to say they have small wallets and they only pay this much in terms of for their mobile services. And we are part of that. And later on, I can show you case to you in terms of the ARPU and in terms of calculations. And rightfully, now these countries like us, they need a solution because we have low ARPU. And the investments for the telecom infrastructure should be really reduced to be able to have the business viable. So based on all of this, really, the intention of Open RAN is really for rural deployments. And these are my top 3 use cases I have picked in particular with rural deployment as the top RAN use case. Second is the private networks, which I believe in the last slides, Engineer Machas has mentioned. And third is a multi-operator neutral host. So in the next slides, I'll try to give you principles, solutions behind all of this. Rural deployments, like I said earlier, open networks were started by TIP, Telecom Infra Project, and their goal really was to drive affordable and reliable communications in underserved areas. And Open RAN is the technology to overcome these cost barriers to providing connectivity to rural areas where business is not viable for mobile operators. As you know, mobile network operators are business case driven and their deployments are based on return on investments. And usually the profitability is 3 years. And rural areas with low potential population market doesn't make it in terms of business case. To show you a case, for example, in a rural deployment, say a population of 500 persons, a cell site investment would go as high as 300,000 US dollars. That's about 17.4 million pesos. ARPU for these rural areas, and maybe we can use, the ARPU is readily available. The operators here share it during their investor briefings. ARPU is now maybe around 50 to 80 pesos per user. So mobile subscribers spend about that much every month. So just, calculating the annual revenue for such a rural community of 500 will only yield you about close to 500,000 a year versus a cell site investment alone of about 7.4 million, that would mean an ROI alone for that capex investment is 35 years. So really, there's really need to really drive down the telecom infra project to make the MNOs interested and attracted to go to these areas, and still a challenge for us. That's why there is really a drive for Open RAN to push the limit in terms of capex. Now, some of the earlier RAN deployments were really in rural areas. In fact, two of which that I'm citing now, I guess maybe you can guess on the chats, but two notable rural deployments are on the bottom is actually Vodafone in Wales, in UK. So what Vodafone deployed was actually a 4G Open RAN overlaid on a 2G legacy base station. The 2G legacy base station was used for emergency and disaster. And in this setup, I believe the DU was on site, whereas the CU was about 190 miles from this rural site. The other rural deployment that was key notably was in Asia. This is by Akshata. So they did the same, and a very particular deployment for this was the introduction of TIPS 1,000 US dollar RRU. It was like, I think this was a big news in MWC 2019, if I can remember. So this was very highlighted, and it was saying that, with very cheap gear, rural deployments may be achievable. The other use case that I believe will be really realizable is for 4G in private networks, especially Open RAN is very well positioned as a secured and dedicated networks for industrial, enterprise, and government applications, especially now in terms of our situation that more and more security is very vital. As we all know, all our communications goes to public networks. Of course, there's always that enigma in terms of, our communications going through all of this hardware. There's an opportunity where an Open RAN can really shine using secured communications. And insofar as our studies in 2018, 2019, there were already early adoptions for Open RAN, like smart cities in Thailand, healthcare, manufacturing in Taiwan, which really are adopted early Open RAN. Now, the third use case that's quite very interesting and maybe something worthwhile for our market is the neutral host, which I believe has been highlighted earlier as one of the key priorities by ORAN. And Open RAN allows sharing of the single physical network infrastructure by multiple operators, and all of these are virtualized. And by doing so, the investment for the capex infrastructure can be shared across multiple operators, and that will be very, very attractive for operators because it can greatly improve their business case. Just imagine, just going back to our use case for rural deployment, remember the 17.4 million? Just imagine if we could do neutral hosts in that site alone and have the three operators invest. Just imagine how the business case improves at least by 1/3 of the investment. Then maybe operators can accept a 5-year ROI or maybe less than 10-year, just as part of the corporate social responsibility. and that to support the government in terms of its digitalization, in terms of internet connectivity. And I believe this is also a key to be able to push Open RAN in this market. And this has also enabled new business models, especially in Europe, in terms of neutral hosting, including new network as a service. Now, um, network sharing is not new, and I believe it started in passive sharing as early as the early 2000s. But GSMA has outlined network sharing models, so it covers passive sharing, and then of course active sharing, and then core network roaming. So in terms of network sharing global status, um, most of the world globe, most of the world has already gone past passive sharing, and passive sharing means we're sharing the passive infrastructure between two or three operators. And I guess it's quite sad to say that Philippines have been lagged behind on this model, where others like the likes of European operators and rest of the world, they are already collaborating with their competitors to doing MORAN, which is the multiple operator RAN network, wherein operators can share on backhaul, base stations, and sites, whereas they would have to have their own core network and have their own um, spectrum. Another model that is being deployed now as we speak is the mobile operator core network, wherein all except the core network are shared among operators. So it's quite sad, but we hope we could get to a state wherein we can do active sharing with operators in the Philippines, so that they can really do capex reduction and opex. And maybe a food for thought why Philippines have lagged behind really on this network sharing models. And I guess it's really more on political in nature, as well as the competitiveness of the telecom market here. It's really, even in my time, really, it's really quite hard to have collaboration, to be able to really work together. But we should be getting there soon, and hopefully with the drive, with the ORAN, defining the sharing specifications, we should be able to achieve the same progress as the rest of the world. So it's really popular in Europe for the MORAN, MOC, and MOCN, right? So, and as early as I think 2018, 2019, all of these operators have really been collaborating and working together to be able to reduce their capex and opex. This is just a snapshot of where they are now. Given those three, use cases and the states that we are in now, it's really the question to our mind is, uh, does OpenRAV have a deployment use case in the Philippines? So, and maybe in this case, no, our view and my view is really on an operator view, and that's something I'd like to share today. And the work we have done extensively with big vendor partners, and we're talking to operators here, as early as 2018. Yeah, we've been, trying to study, evaluate, at least on a high level, uh, if really Open RAN is an alternative to mobile networks in the Philippines. And yeah, it was fortunate for us to really had gone through this exercise, and I'd like to share in this forum um, maybe a snapshot of our methodology, our modeling, high level in terms of the findings and maybe a way forward. And I believe Engineer Machas has also touched base, but I'd like to refresh in terms of a more of a architectural comparison and just to refresh us. So a legacy run architecture would consist really of three main components. You have your packet core, you have your transport, and then you have your base station, where in your base station cell site, you would have your RRU or RRH, and of course your baseband unit, the BBU. Alternative to Open RAN is we disaggregated the BBU, and then we have the CU and DU, which can be based on different deployment scenarios. Could be far from the cell site, can be in the network, in the transport layer, or even on the aggregation node. So if you look at this architecture, the difference lies in terms of physical is there's no BBU in the RRU. So given this type of architecture and try to model a network, a 4G network, and really analyze where the efficiencies are. And we have done that. And I don't know if it's sadly but in 2018, 2019, yes, while we know there are efficiencies, there are savings, you know, we did a TCO, and at that time, traditional RAN still has a lower TCO than Open RAN. This was like 2018, 2019. So I'm not so sure with now, but in the later slides, I can highlight where improvements on TCO for Open RAN should be directed towards. But just to get a feel of these major findings and what we did, I can share to you in the succeeding slides the model that we've done and some scenarios where Open RAN can really excel. No? They can really excel. And we took a RAN of a size of 126 LTE. So in terms of a traditional architecture, on your left side, you would have an EPC, you have an IP transport, and you would have these 26 LTE cell sites. We did traffic assumption so that we can dimension and design the architecture, a similar architecture to deliver the same traditional RAN. And given those traffic assumptions, the resulting architecture is as follows. So we have the same EPC, we have the same transport. So the difference right now, for such a cluster of 4G network, we would need one CU. And then for the DU, we need 8 DUs strategically located at transport nodes. And for each DU, based on simulations, based on traffic assumptions, it will manage 8 sites per DU. So on the right side is the equivalent Open RAN architecture. So this was the model we used for our case study. Now, the next slides, I will cite you which scenarios can Open RAN really excel. And I've seen some chats about the operational part of this, and I think I will not cover that part, but I'll try to cover part on the planning and engineering side in terms of what the plan can be achieved. So just going through this, like I said, in terms of difference in architecture, we've seen that with Open RAN, there will be no BBU at each site. So what does that achieve? It means for each of the cell site, there is less power, you need less space. And that would mean less heat, means less cooling, and that would translate to lower power consumption. While we did calculations as well, because an Open RAN would require you deployments of COT server on for the CU and the DU. And based on our calculations, given the BBUs versus the COTS hardware, we still estimate that the Open RAN hardware, is still 30% less in terms of consumption. And this we feel is an area with which Open RAN can excel. And this can drive as well as part of the sustainability, the strategies of mobile operators. Now, another scenario which we believe Open RAN can excel. Let's look at simulating the same RAN, the same cluster of sites, and distributing over a suburban urban location. Let's say, let's visualize this area between Parañaque, suburban, and maybe Makati. Let's do a general observation of those two areas. Parañaque being a residential with some, commercial, and Makati being the urban, commercial, corporate offices. Generally, in terms of observation, during the day, during work day, people, cars, commutes, traffic generally moves from suburban to urban. So people with mobiles, mobile traffic as well moves from suburban to urban. Over the weekends in Makati, if you go to Makati over the weekends, not much people, not much traffic, no traffic at all. Similarly, for mobile traffic during the weekends, no traffic at all. Use that behavior profile in mobile traffic. We use that to evaluate how Open RAN can excel in this type of scenarios. And usually in traffic engineering and mobile engineering, we really call it bouncing busy hour. I don't know if even in college, in traffic engineering, you've come across bouncing busy hour. But an RF engineer like myself and maybe engineer Machas, they know about this terminology. And it's really, it's a behavior in mobile networks that the busy hour for each of the sites will differ. It differs, kaya nga bouncing. So a busy hour maybe for a cell site in Parañaque, maybe in the morning and maybe in the evening. Why? Because people are there. People using mobile phones in Parañaque are there in the morning, early morning, and in the evening. So the busy hour there is maybe 8 a.m. or 8 p.m. Whereas maybe in Makati, the busy hour would be 9 a.m., 10 p.m., maybe 12 noon, and maybe 6 to 7. So its indication is a terminology for traffic engineering that sites have bouncing busy hours. So that type of behavior is where Open RAN can really excel. And why? Like I said, mobile subs traffic move. They don't stay at one place. That's why we have what we call bouncing busy hours. But as a planner, and because you're limited with the architecture of traditional RAN, you have to size each site to be able to manage and address the peak busy traffic. So as a planner, you would have to dimension in terms of hardware and software particularly. So which means software licenses, particularly the BBU, are fixed per cell. So even, for example, you cost BBUs in Parañaque for your cell site. Yes, they will manage and handle Parañaque busy hour in the morning. But once the Parañaque busy hour morning moves to Makati, you don't need those licenses in Parañaque. So there is the efficiency by using an Open RAN centralized architecture. Centralized licenses can be pulled, and therefore you can save on this cost. These are the two main scenarios for an actual deployment for RAN that really I see and we see Open RAN can excel. However, again, it's a sad thought. Regardless of all these efficiencies and all of these OpEx reductions, traditional RAN still has lower TCO versus Open RAN. And why? It's because of the cheaper traditional equipment. Open RAN gear is not yet on the level in terms of volume and pricing that operators are enjoying with the traditional vendors. You know, millions of RRU BBUs versus, I don't know now in terms of how many purchases and deployments of Open RAN gear. And I sat in one of the open forums and they were really talking about these big operators. And, you know, they were really seeing Open RAN to really take up maybe after 2025. And I think later on, you know, one of the key news that may really push this as well. Maybe I hope I can highlight it later. But yeah, there's really need a push in terms of volume. So once Open RAN gear will be at least close to the price of the traditional gear, maybe we will have a better TCO. And that's the time, seriously, maybe operators here in the Philippines will consider it. Okay, so yeah. So how do we improve Open RAN's TCO? Like I mentioned a while ago, it's really the hurdle, the tipping point here is the RAN equipment price. And how do we push this? How do we push that the price will be as competitive as the traditional RAN? I think as we see more and more Open RAN adoptions and deployments, and you know, we have good news, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Engineer Matias as well, right? You maybe have been abreast with what's happening, but I've read in the news that AT&T is also tapping now Ericsson, which is the one of the big three to really do for Open RAN. That's a big, you know, that's a really big lift, and then the volume will really push down the price, no? And that I think we will see the day that Open RAN TCO will be very competitive. The other key we Open RAN can take advantage of versus traditional RAN. You know, as you know, if you do traditional RAN gear, you're stuck. You're stuck with the RRU and that's it, right? You know, I've been attending MWCs for the past 20, I think 2 to 3 years now. And, you know, I've been seeing a lot of new developments on RRU, and they are even getting more energy efficient. And with Open RAN, you really have this choice of RRUs that are very energy efficient. I think to name a few or to name one, NEC. I've seen NEC. They really have a very good product on RRU. They boast of the best in terms of energy efficiency. So using this will really help boost and help the Open RAN TCO. Another is really the third use case, the multi-operator neutral host, which I don't know in terms of the specifications, but a lot in MWC just this year has been, has been presenting this solution. And I believe, like I mentioned a while ago in our use case in rural deployments, if you can do a multi-operator neutral host for rural deployment and cut the investment by the operator by half or by third, it will make your TCO better. So rather than all of these operators, putting their own traditional RAN gear with field tower or with LDIC in the shared common tower, deploying a multi-operator neutral host, so they will just have to share on a single physical RAN infrastructure, and the costs may be shared across. Now, a very interesting note as well is the RIC X app. Like I said, RIC reminds me of the RNC, BSC in the old days, where intelligence was really on these nodes, and whereas in 3G, 4G, the intelligence was put in either packet core or on the eNode B. So for Open RAN, we're going to the same architecture, and I guess because of the processing power and the capabilities of the hardware now. But just going back to RIC applications and maybe delve into a while ago a very good use case by Engineer Machas. This one, I think he talked about power saving controls, and really this is where Open RAN can excel. And why? Over 2 years, I've been working on RAN-SON. This is the self-organizing networks. This is 3GPP standards for RAN automation. So it's actually also, it's a technical specifications that even Open RAN is complying to. So SON, RAN-SON, has been there, and we have been on study and offering what we call RAN energy savings to traditional RAN. And what essentially does is similar to what Engineer Machas does. Usually traditional RAN vendors like what you call Huawei's, Ericsson's, Nokia's, their RAN energy saving power control, what they usually do is just do, turn off, turn on, right? So it's just a matter of switch off, switch on the resources at a base station. Now, if you look at it, it's very inefficient. And usually, since this is a traditional architecture, it's not near real time. And that's why it's very, very particular in terms of near real time. So which means that, when a base station tries to turn off its resources, it's too late. It may have, it may have detected no traffic. As soon as it turns off, because it's not real time, it will not do turn off because there's traffic already. So there is really no efficiency in being able to control the resources in terms of sleeping or turning off the resources. Now, there are third parties that can do this, and one of my big partners have done this as a third-party application integrating to this traditional RAN. And what are the challenges, and how can Open RAN excel in this? So the challenges of the traditional RAN really is trying to interoperate with a third party, because it's really a closed proprietary system with Huawei, Ericsson, and Nokia, right? And the challenge there is really you can't do almost near real-time implementation. Almost near real-time AI, machine learning control and management of these resources so that you can efficiently turn off, turn on the resources. What we've seen in this RAN-SON in terms of implementation for traditional RAN, they have achieved about 4%. I think best is 7%, but about 4% energy savings on RAN. With third party like our partner, you can enable up to even 14% just by doing a third party SON RAN energy savings. And just imagine, with a hurdle of interoperability between a third party and the traditional RAN, and the challenge of almost near real time, this is where the RIC, this is where Open RAN, I believe, can really excel and can really, achieve RAN energy savings. Just to highlight again, traditional RAN-SON energy savings, because of the traditional architecture, can save you, in terms of field deployments, 4% energy savings. A third party integrating to a traditional RAN to provide a distributed RAN energy savings can give you up to 14%. Just imagine an Open RAN RIC implementation, near real-time AI ML implementation, what would be achieved in that case? So very, very crucial will be RIC in this case to improving this TCO. And just to share as well, from my last visit this year, so there were a lot of RIC applications that I've seen, and there's one particular very interesting one, and there have been on trials already, and this will be really, and I think it's been trialed by Vodafone. But if this works out fine, just imagine, everybody knows massive MIMO, right? Massive MIMO. So multiple transmit, multiple receive. Massive MIMO requires power, di ba? It requires a lot of power. And that's why one of the challenges in every market now, when they deploy massive MIMO, is commercial power, and as well as power systems and power costs. And with Open RAN has the ability to excel because they might have just developed an alternative massive MIMO via software, via RIC. And just imagine not deploying massive MIMO, but through software. That's a huge area which Open RAN can excel. I hope, I'm sure there's a lot of audience here. You may have not really good background, but I hope I was able to convey, where the strengths are of Open RAN and what really, where we can position even in this market. So, given all of this, what's my view, my view is, let's pursue Open RAN in small cell wireless sharing. This is something I think maybe a sweet spot, and particularly for me, this is something I can pursue. And why, and why should we look into this? Like I said, in this market, in the Philippine telecom market, talagang ang challenge really is cost. So other than if, of course, the government and LGUs and non-profit organizations will invest in this infrastructure. But, small cell wireless sharing will be the key because, the neutral host concept, the multi-carrier small cell solutions allows you to really drive the cost down minimum one half, and even in efficiencies. And likewise, you can have a lot of models that can be done in terms of neutral host, third party, you know, third party neutral host companies, just like, tower calls can be neutral hosts. I think we need policies to help them as well to really go into this market. As you know, I believe there are certain, I mean, mobile operators can only own or procure equipment that is actually transmitting, but small cell wireless sharing will be suitable for in-building, urban small cells, and like I said a while ago, rural deployments. The, I think that's where we should go. Now, maybe a few slides more. I think this is maybe my last, but this is also one of the use case studies we've really done a lot of work on. And maybe anyone who knows this picture until recently? Anyone can chat? Alam niyo ba kung ano to? Okay, this is Coldplay. Kilala yung Coldplay? Who knows Coldplay? Who loves Coldplay? This was January, Philippine Arena. Broke records sa attendance sa Philippine Arena. I think in 2 days yata, 96,000 attendees. Wow. And this case, it would be a nightmare for Engineer Machas to plan and optimize, right, Mr. Machas? This is a nightmare for you to plan and design a mobile network to handle such traffic. And mind you, we've done, and a case brought to us was even 4 times this traffic that was given to us. Traditional RAN cannot handle this type of traffic. And what we have seen so far and what we have designed, only Open RAN can be able to deliver such capacity and performance for these types of scenario. And this is something as well that Open RAN can accept. And this is something we have really done the exercise to be able to, come up that really technically it can be designed. There are limits in traditional RAN that Open RAN can be able to configure just by virtue of virtualization.